This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
What's going on, everybody? Guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I am one of the hosts of this show, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter, and also one of the hosts of the Football Function Podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms, including Patreon, if you prefer an ad-free experience. And you can also get this show ad-free on Patreon as well for only $1 a month. Same thing over there on Football Function. A good bang for your buck. You definitely get all the ads out of the way. It's just a better listening experience altogether. And this is going to be a better podcast experience altogether because I am joined by my co-host, John Carrasco. You can find him on Twitter at Big Speaker. That's BIGG_speaker. John, how you doing?
I am doing okay, I guess you could say.
All things considered.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really tell in the voice, but I've been dealing with a little bug, and it does suck. It has put a damper on my week, but it has given me some extra time to kind of dig into some stuff that I was curious about, storylines, WWE-wise, and stuff like that. So I guess you could say it benefited me for today.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely glad to have you back. It definitely feels good to have things back to normal here on the SmackDown Review. And, it's
For sure.
It's just a better show. It's I'm sure the listeners agree. Shout out to all the listeners, obviously, for tuning in every single week, and especially this episode because it is the most recent episode, and it's going to be covering the SmackDown that aired on December 2nd, 2022 from Buffalo, New York. One thing I was going to say here, don't you feel like Buffalo, New York is a little bit of like an underrated wrestling town? Like, you don't really ever hear about it. You really don't in terms of a wrestling town. You hear about it for, being diehard Bills Mafia. You hear about it for the Buffalo Wings, the crazy snow that they get. But you very rarely hear it mentioned, at least me. I could be living under a rock, so if I am just completely ignorant to that, I do apologize. But I'm trying to put you on a pedestal here, Buffalo. I'm trying to give you a shout out and say that from where I stand, it is a little bit underrated, I feel like. Brooklyn gets a lot of attention. The whole city of New York as a whole, obviously Madison Square Garden. And then, the South, Tennessee, Texas gets a lot of attention, a lot of big-time shows, especially here lately. West Coast as well. Seattle, I'm sure Kanye Twitty has mentioned several times exactly how loud they get at their wrestling shows and just what they're really known for. But I feel like Buffalo really never gets mentioned, and you just look at the type of fans they are. Number one, what is Bills Mafia known for? Putting you through a freaking table in a parking lot before the game. They didn't just get that from watching the Food Network. They got that from watching wrestling, obviously. So clearly the connection has always been there. So seeing them there today, seeing the WWE and SmackDown, obviously, go to Buffalo and, all the Bills jerseys in the crowd, it just made me, I guess, appreciate Buffalo as a wrestling city. Am I crazy for saying that, or am I getting somewhere?
Well, I guess I can't say that I've ever actually paid attention to it. I guess that does make perfect sense with the, being put through tables and stuff like that. But, me, I guess I couldn't really say that I put it together like that, but you kind of, just put it in my ear and it kind of just like a boom, So
Yeah.
It kind of just does spark a little something. So, yeah, I guess you could say I agree with you.
Yeah, so I guess to put a bow on that, I see you, Buffalo, is what we're trying to say. So you have the appreciation here of the SmackDown Review, but let's go ahead and get started here because this was a pretty damn good episode of SmackDown, I will say. Just a lot of good stuff. That's the thing. In terms of the show, a lot of it was long segments, right? Like the opening segment was about 28 minutes if you count the opening promo and the match that led there. And then the main event, their entrances started at 8:26, meaning they had 34 minutes to entrance, match, post-match celebration, so they had a lot of time. SmackDown did go off the air about 2 minutes early, so they didn't use all the time in the book, but just do you feel like personally, this being obviously first SmackDown after a pay-per-view, do you feel like they really put their best foot forward here to close out the year?
Well, this I wouldn't say that they. Well, I don't think that they put their best foot forward.
Yeah, no Roman Reigns, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there could have been some things that could have, I guess you could say, like made this, like, come together as a whole, rather. I mean, it's still lingering on, because I don't want to get into it too early. But of course, with the Sheamus, the Brawling Brutes, I thought it was going to be finished here, But
yeah.
Backstage a little bit later in the show, it seems like it's going to continue on. So that's where I'm kind of mixed up about it. I figured, after that, everything's kind of squashed. We start kind of moving into like another direction, Royal Rumble world and everything like that. Sorry, that was kind of a tongue twister, but I mean, we still got something from Survivor Series that's still with us. So, it still feels like it's kind of an open book still for me, I guess you could say.
Yep. I totally get what you're saying, but I really just felt like the way that they started this show, given all things considered, right? Like, there's been some storylines here that I've been really interested in. Mm-hmm. LA Knight and Bray Wyatt. Mm-hmm. We didn't have LA Knight tonight on the show, so that couldn't really go anywhere, even though we did get a promo, and we'll get there here in a little bit. But we mentioned it, we didn't have Roman Reigns, so the Bloodline storyline still was able to develop and take steps forward despite not having Roman there or Paul Heyman. So you like to see that. You like to see that some stars and major parts of certain programs and groups can be absent, but that doesn't mean that the storyline's absent. It doesn't mean that the I guess development as a program as a whole is just basically walking in place. So I did appreciate that aspect, and obviously getting a return. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. So obviously a juicy show here in store for us. Excuse me, and we'll go ahead and get to that right now because it starts with Sami Zayn's music, and he's followed out by the Bloodline. They open up the show. The Usos are basically congratulating Sami Zayn for his decision to stand with the Bloodline and turn on Kevin Owens and basically prove his loyalty. And there wasn't doubt with everybody in the Bloodline, but there was certainly doubt with some people in the Bloodline, mainly main event Jey Uso and possibly Solo. I don't know. We'll talk about that here, but pretty much they're basically hyping up Sami. They're giving him his flowers. They're patting him on the back for everything that he's done and what he did specifically at War Games to secure the win for the Bloodline. And just really quickly, because we haven't touched on it, if you didn't watch, that match was so badass. Mm-hmm. Like, just start to finish, the way it was booked, that ending made your arm hair stand up, just the way that they did it. You felt that embrace. I had to touch on it here. That was some damn good stuff. Do you agree?
I do. I do like how, like, Roman, he gave like that little direct order to hold Jimmy from going in second and having Sami Zayn going in.
Yeah, to help him.
So that kind of felt like, okay, Roman's trying to make something work out of basically nothing, I guess you could say. But ultimately, it turned out the way we wanted it to, I guess you could say. Some of us, but yeah, they did their thing that night. Yeah,
and then the old Kevin Owens slap to Roman Reigns, which wasn't really appreciated.
That was nasty.
Or talked about. Obviously, that's probably old news by now.
The way he pushed him off, though, whenever like he kind of like, or Kevin Owens kind of like fell into Roman Reigns, he just like threw him to the mat. I was just like, that was pretty disrespectful right there.
There was some animosity there, without a doubt. There was some anger, at least. They don't really have a backstage beef, but in the moment, whenever someone goes, they go to work for themselves, I guess. I don't know the exact term right now off the top of my head. You know what I'm trying to say, though. Roman Reigns didn't appreciate that, and he definitely let Kevin Owens pay for it. But
that's for sure.
Pretty much what I wanted to say was that pay-per-view was badass as a whole, especially that match. So, man, I really enjoyed that. But
I was going to say, I do feel like Drew was, like, very minimal in that match.
I think he's dealing with an injury.
Just for me, for some reason. Yeah. I don't know if that's, like, what that could have been, but yeah. I figured he was going to have a bigger impact in all of that.
I agree. I think that he definitely, especially when he was added to that team, he thought he was going to be a big-time player. But I do think that maybe him not being 100% had something to do with it. Mm-hmm. And just the booking of that match in general probably called for Drew doing a little bit less. But back to this here storyline. Basically, they're hyping up Sami Zayn, right? They're telling him how great of a job he did at War Games and how crucial he was to what the Bloodline was able to accomplish. And he gets that embrace again. We get that double handshake. You know, that was very awesome seeing him and Jay at the same time, just Sammy doing that, and then get a little bit of a dance. Obviously, it's interrupted by the Brawling Brutes, and they come out here, and then we get the Sheamus versus Sammy match. But Solo clearly separating himself from the celebration. He didn't have a smile on his face. You don't know if he's just going all in for this, like, all serious business, no games. Like, I'm not going to celebrate here unless I'm literally breaking because it's so funny. Other than that, I'm keeping a straight face. The thing that confuses me about this is he's already embraced Sammy in past episodes of SmackDown, you know? So what changed? Like, that's why I don't understand. Like, if it's revealed that there's something going on, right? Whether he was sent by someone else, I know that's been kind of talked about, or if Roman Reigns is the one who kind of was the quote-unquote, I saw all I needed to know, and there's more like chess versus checkers type thing, and Roman is already 2 steps ahead. That could all be revealed later. The fact that Solo is not embracing it with the Usos is a little bit alarming, I will say. Without a doubt, I'm raising an eyebrow here for it because I don't really understand why, given that he's already, like, remember that one time whenever Jay wanted to go be ringside with Solo and he said, "No, you're not off your game, Jay.
Yeah. Come
Come on, Sammy." Like, he's already been cool with you, you know? Like, so that's what I don't really understand is what's the deal here. I guess that's my thing. Maybe I'm missing something. What's your perspective on this?
Well, for me, I think, yeah, definitely something is starting to change. And Solo, he has to be the one that's picking up on it. I don't know if it's Roman Reigns, you know, because it kind of feels like after Survivor Series, like that big old hug that they had and everything like that, it kind of feels like, okay, all that has been kind of been squashed in a way. But since Solo has been the one that's kind of off by himself, you know, like no emotion or anything like that, giving in to the Usos and stuff like that. So I kind of feel as if he's the one that's going to be picking up on it. I did see that he made like one of that emoji with the eyes are kind of to the side.
Yeah.
On Sami Zayn's post.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That was kind of crazy to me on Twitter because you would expect him to at least say something like in person rather than him going behind.
Just frowning. I mean, are you that bad on the mic? They really don't give him any mic time.
And that's what I'm saying. So this has to be at least bigger than the little picture that we're getting, I guess you could say. So I'm behind Solo thinking that something actually is going on.
I agree, and I think it is that next layer, the thing that's going to continue the interest in the Bloodline segment. Because if Jey Uso and Sami Zayn aren't, you know, clashing and butting heads, what's the interesting thing going on? You seeing people just being in paradise week in, week out isn't good TV, you know? I mean, of course, they're going to be kicking ass. They're going to have the belts, all that good stuff. They can make it entertaining just given the personalities and the characters that are involved. But having an internal storyline or conflict is what, like the Jey Uso and Sami Zayn conflict is what made it so interesting leading up to Survivor Series, obviously. But we will go ahead and move on. That was a pretty good opening segment, though. Like I said, it leads to this Sheamus versus Sami Zayn match. Another long one. Like I said, if you count that opening promo and this match together, it was right around 28 minutes, right around the 30-minute mark, the first quarter of the show. There were 2 commercial breaks during this match. Pretty good one. I will say physical as hell, like you would expect. Sami Zayn's near fall on that blue thunder bomb. I thought that the match might have ended there. I thought that he was going to pin Sheamus, and I would have been extremely impressed if he pulled off the win right there. But obviously, during this match, chaos ensues at ringside. It allows Sheamus to gain control and set Sami Zayn up for white noise. But while the referee was dealing with Jimmy on the apron, not even looking at what was going on in the ring, Jay slides in the ring and hits Sheamus with a super kick, setting Sami Zayn up to steal the win. Did you like this?
Oh, yeah, this was,
okay.
I guess you could say, the best I've seen of him, you know, because it kind of, like, everybody was just working all cylinders, I guess you could say. You know, this is no cracks in their little routine, I guess you could say. So for them to all be on the same page now is perfect for me, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I agree. Taking things backstage is where the show goes now. Kofi Kingston has a little bit of a backstage interview with Megan Morant, and it's interrupted by the 2 members of Imperium, Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. But they're basically, you know, talking crap about Kofi Kingston, like usual, trying to belittle what they are here in the WWE, yada, yada, yada. And Kofi Kingston says, hey, my partner isn't here tonight, so we can't have a tag match, but I'm more than willing to compete in singles action. Which one of you guys is it going to be? They have a smile on their face for good reason, obviously. They step to the side. Here comes Gunther, and he accepts that challenge. So we get Kofi versus Gunther, and it was funny, Kofi's response. I know you probably heard it, where he says, what, were you just standing off to the side over there? Like, that was funny. I like that he pointed that out. It was hilarious.
The thing that got me was whenever he was like, who? And then he walks up and he's like, just gives him that face.
Yeah,
like,
you knew as soon as it happened. That scene right there seemed like something I know. It could be just because I've been watching it religiously. But it seemed like a scene right out of Boy Meets World. Like, seriously, it really did.
That guy, I mean, it was funny and everything. And I do like that he announced that he was going to be one of the Royal Rumble participants.
Yes, that is awesome. And it is his 15th. I cannot wait for that. And I will say, Kofi and Xavier, they actually wore their Power Rangers gear at a live event, I believe it was, last week or something like that, to honor, obviously, the White Ranger. We don't need to dive into that. We've already done on the football function. But I just wanted to give a shout out because whenever they debuted it and they wore it for a while, I loved it. Like, I seriously was like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. Like, I'm so glad that they did that. It was well done. Whoever made it, shout out to them. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't mind them rocking that for a little bit, going forward. We'll see what they do. More things backstage here. Bray Wyatt discussing what happened with LA Knight. A great promo here. He pretty much says, the reason why you should know that it wasn't me who attacked LA Knight is because if I did it, there'd be nothing left of him. In other words, we saw a person threaten a murder here on SmackDown. What were your thoughts?
This, man, I mean, it's... I'm okay with the slow burn, but man, we got to start getting into some actual action, I guess you could say. I mean, I love it whenever they do like the little, like whenever Bray was having the little conversation with himself back then, or I wouldn't say back then, backstage, but whenever he has these promos, whenever he keeps saying that he doesn't want to do these things, it's hard for me to just. It's hard for me to believe it, I guess you could say, because I know, I mean, I wouldn't say I know, but we all have some kind of assumption that Bray is the one that's actually doing this stuff. So that's where I'm at with all this.
I do think that it is Bray, but is it actually Bray, or is it Uncle Howdy or whoever, or whatever version of Bray Wyatt that we'll likely see revealed at some point? But the slow burn, I think it is going to burn a little bit longer. LA Knight's going to come back, make like some epic return sometime soon where like his music hits and he's going to run to the ring and attack Bray Wyatt, and it's going to lead to some pretty good stuff. But for now, I do believe that I'm confident in saying that it's going to be one of my more interesting things that I'm looking forward to every week on SmackDown. But something that I really didn't expect today was Emma versus Shayna. Now, I don't follow WWE on any social media, and I haven't really been on social media a whole lot, like to be able to scroll in terms of like the last few days, been really, really busy. So I wouldn't have seen any matches that were announced or leaked for SmackDown. So if this match was announced, I didn't see it. So it was news to me whenever I saw that they were about to, go out and have a match. There was a pre-match lovey-dovey stuff with Madcap and Emma. Once I saw it, because we saw it happen once, right? Excuse me. Whenever Madcap was about to have a match, and Emma was the one that was out there and was like, giving him the little, motivational speech. When I saw Madcap, the roles reversed and him go doing it, I was like, okay, we're not doing this, all right? If you're gonna try to sell us on this little love story here with another couple, we've seen this with so many by now. We're to the point to where like we know that they're dating. It doesn't need to be force fed down our throat. Especially whenever Emma has had 2 matches since she's been back. Let her have more in-ring matches than backstage lovey-dovey segments. That shouldn't be close. If you're keeping score between those two, the score shouldn't be close. And we really haven't seen enough of Emma since her return here. And she looked strong for a little bit in this match. She was able to, hold off Shayna. It wasn't a squash match by any means, but still a submission. Karafuda clutch. Shayna Baszler has put down many women with that move, and she does the exact same thing that Emma tries to attack her afterwards. And Shotzi runs to the ring as unathletically as a professional athlete possibly can. She gets to the ring, though. She somehow gets put down as well, and even worse, she's about to get her arm broken. And then an actual victim of that, Raquel Rodriguez, she comes out. And immediately Shayna Baszler just like making fun of her, puts one hand behind her back, and she's doing, did you see her do that? Oh, that was funny. That did make me giggle a little bit just because I knew that was like a genuine little shot there. But she goes in there, and then, or Raquel, that is, goes in the ring, and Shayna Baszler runs away. 3-on-1, why would you not? But she definitely makes sure to point that out to several fans. The commentary does as well. Wade Barrett, that is, points out that it was 3-on-1. It took 3 women. They made sure to hammer that home. So you know that they're trying to put over Shayna Baszler and make her seem dominant again. And I'm all for it because she really is. Like, she's one of the more credible women's wrestlers on the SmackDown roster. A little bit of a tongue twister there. But her getting a submission win here against Emma makes total sense. Her leaving the ring looking like a complete badass makes total sense as well. So this was another part here of SmackDown that I was really pleased the way that it ended up.
See, on this, man, I didn't even think about the opposite side of this. Like, I was kind of like more on the, like, this is a push for Emma type thing, you know. But then again, like, always a good, you know, hear another opinion kind of bounce off of it. But didn't even think about that, like I was saying. And I am on the other side of this. I do kind of like how Madcap and her are having this little romance thing, you know. I mean, I wouldn't say too many people knew about it. I mean, of course, some people in Discord, they were curious. They were wondering what was going on about that, you know. And yeah, I mean, I guess you could say they are dating in real life. But for it to transition over to this, you know, what Madcap's been through, I guess you could say, and of course, you know, Emma coming back, I think it's going to be good for them. I do like how they went against, or at least Madcap went against Karrion. Sorry about that. But yeah, so if they can kind of play it into like them being a good little dynamic duo, I guess you could say, I'd be all for it.
At least it's 2 baby faces. And it's not cringeworthy. It's just we've seen it so many times that I'm just like, something else, please. We don't need to see this. We don't need to see them hype each other up and say, no, look at you. Remember who you are, you know?
You're part of the boost of confidence.
You're part of the women's revolution, you know? She was not, all right? Just saying that. I mean, she was about as part of the women's revolution as Meredith was a big contributor to The Office, you know?
Okay.
She wasn't Pam. She wasn't Jim. She damn sure wasn't Dwight. All right? She was not even sniffing Michael Scott territory.
No.
She was a backstage actor. And that's not a shot at Meredith. I know Meredith just took a Ricochet shot there. Was not a shot at Meredith. I'm just trying to paint the picture for, because I know you weren't around during that time in Emma's first tenure and during the actual women's revolution. It was Charlotte. It was Becky Lynch. It was Sasha Banks. Women like that. And if you actually want to get technical, I mean, whenever it actually started, before it actually started, Trish Stratus, Lita, you know, back in the actual era of women's wrestling, China, you know, so many wrestlers came before that. Victoria, Molly Holly, Ivory, you know, just to kind of just to name a few, you know. Gail Kim. I didn't want to stop without saying her, Gail Kim. Obviously, I'm trying to think of the other one that was with Teddy Long. She was very dominant. Jazz was her name? She's from New Orleans. Yeah, Jazz, I think. Yeah, she's from New Orleans. But anyways, yeah, she was a dominant women's wrestler. Super buff. Like, she had a lot of muscles on her. I will say that. But Stacy Keibler, you know, go ahead and give her a shout out as well. But we're getting way off topic here. Just, you know, quick shout out to all the women out there that contributed to the women's revolution. But I will, you know, just say Emma, sorry. She wasn't as big of a contributor, but I get it. That was part of her shtick, you know, back in the day. She said that she was such a massive part of it, and it was part of, like, her bit that she was doing. So I do understand that. You know, it's not like the joke's going over my head or anything like that, but I just wanted to clear that up for you in case you were like, wait, what the hell's going on? Yeah, they're just kind of playing off that. But anyways, let me go ahead and pull my notes back up really quickly here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The 3-on-1, whatever. Shayna Baszler's looking like a badass as she leaves the ring. Which means we can go ahead and move on to the impromptu match that was announced earlier because of the backstage interaction with Kofi and Imperium. The match goes on for a while, like you would expect. Kofi Kingston does get his moments. They weren't going to make him look like a chump here. You know, there were times where we were like, holy crap, you know, is Kofi going to actually maybe push him? You know, I didn't really think he was going to lose. Now, when Braun Strowman came out and the distraction actually happened and then Kofi had that pin, I thought, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like, even asked Caleb, I was like, no. And then obviously he kicked out and we were both like, whew, like, crazy. I was not going to lose there, even though the title wasn't on the line. You don't want to see your Intercontinental Champion take a loss to somebody like Kofi, and I don't mean that as a disrespectful way to Kofi, but he's not necessarily like, I don't know, like it's not like he's losing to Kevin Owens or Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or somebody who's fighting for the main event title picture. You know, Kofi's days are behind him. He's clearly a mid-carder in a tag team. He lost this match for a reason. If he would have lost to Kofi, would you not have been absolutely mind blown? Like, would you not have been like, holy crap, like, what the hell? Like, what was the point in that?
I mean, I definitely would, but I mean, I think Kofi is credible. You know, I mean, whenever they put his little accolades up on the side of the page, you know, I mean, the thing that popped out to me is like 22 WWE titles. You know, I mean, that's something you can't just like look past, I guess you could say. You know, I mean, I guess you could say 22 is kind of a big number, I guess you could say. You know, I mean, whenever you think of Kofi Kingston, I guess you could say that's not one of the things that kind of pops out to you, but whenever you see it next to his name, it kind of puts that belief next to him that he can possibly win any match that he goes into, I guess you could say, you know. So, I mean, that was kind of my thing, I guess you could say, going into this. You know, like, the whole beginning of this, seeing this, that's what I was kind of like holding down. But I did not expect him to win this. Why? Because of the World Cup. You know, Gunther, he already has himself lined up with somebody else coming out of that, you know. So, yeah, I didn't believe that he was going to win.
Yeah, I didn't either. And just, I guess it's just where I have Gunther at. You know, I have him on a pedestal, just me personally. Big fan of what he's done for the Intercontinental Championship, what his future holds as a main event challenger for possibly Roman Reigns or whoever holds that championship whenever his time comes.
Agree.
It's no secret that whenever Triple H took over, that Gunther got back to being like dominant. Imperium actually came back and being mentioned as Imperium. It's not just like Gunther and Ludwig, like they're actually a faction. And, you know, Triple H loves his factions. Vince McMahon was not high on Gunther. He planned on burying him. Luckily, that did not happen. So I guess maybe it's more so how I feel about Gunther. Not really how I feel about Kofi. I have respect for Kofi, but Gunther is just somebody who I feel like is a very worthy challenger for I mean, obviously he's a champion, but I'm just thinking like where I have him in my head, he's a challenger for a main event championship at any point. He does win this match with a Last Symphony. It's like a type of power slam, but that is what the move is called. Sorry, it was pointed out by the commentary team. We already talked about pretty much what your thoughts were on the match, but I mean, as far as the finishing move and him winning despite Braun Strowman making that random interference, anything else to add to it?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I have too much to add to it, but I want to say that I'm already looking past the World Cup, you know, the whole thing between him and that champion, or I wouldn't say championship, but I mean, it's going to be a title match, I guess you could say. But I'm already looking forward to Gunther and Braun. You know, like I said, they've put Braun at the lowest part of the freaking roster for me, I guess you could say, the way they've been booking him. But for him to be able to make Gunther run away, like make him be a little chicken, I guess you could say, you know, that's kind of interesting to me, and that may raise my eyebrows and stuff like that. So I'm already looking forward to that, I guess you could say. Long road.
Yes, you are looking forward to that. One thing that I didn't see coming was what happened next backstage with the Usos and the Bloodline. Really, Solo leaves. He goes with Sami Zayn. Sami tries to say, "Hey, let's go eat somewhere. Where do you guys want to eat?" Well, blah blah blah. That really wasn't what was important here. What was important was after they left, they have a little bit of a discussion. Like, man, I can't believe that you finally welcome Sami. Did you ever ask him about lying to your face? He clarifies, no, Roman Reigns basically already said that he looked in his eyes and he saw all he needed to see. So they're telling us that for a reason. It's going to come back at some point. So just remember, kind of store it there in your memory bank somewhere. But before they can leave or go anywhere, they're attacked by Sheamus with a shillelagh and just beats the hell out of them. And he warns them, hey, you have a match on Monday night with Riddle and Elias, is it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so when they win their championships and defend them successfully on Raw, next week we get Sheamus and Drew McIntyre versus the Usos. That's right? Sheamus and Drew? Okay, I was just making sure, because I wasn't sure if I maybe got one of the names wrong there. But, okay, Sheamus attacking him here was a little bit strange, because I thought they were more of a babyface group, the Brawling Brutes, or at least going up against the Bloodline babyface by default. So him attacking him like this was very heel, just with a weapon backstage. I don't know if it was just like, you guys typically have the numbers advantage and you guys will do this to me, so why don't I just do it to you? Send a message by saying, next week, me and Drew are taking your championships. What did you think about the backstage attack?
Well, for the attack, I just want to touch base on the little interaction, I guess you could say, first. The thing that gets me, man, is that Jimmy was the one that was like so welcoming and everything at the beginning of all this, and now he's the one that's questioning it, So that's another little twist that I'm kind of looking into, because if anything, I would have expected Solo to be one to like kind of voice that opinion, I guess you could say, just by going with my thoughts and everything like that. So for Jimmy to be the one that kind of was that person, this totally threw me off. It's gonna definitely keep me intrigued and everything like that. But yeah, Jimmy being that person, weird. But the attack, I thought this was over with Saturday, basically. I didn't expect it to keep lingering on and stuff like that. I don't know, man. But if they got something going on, I guess you could say, these groups, I can watch them go at it match after match, I guess you could say. But I just don't see no direction for it right now. That's the only thing for me.
Well, you got to think there's no December pay-per-view, so they gotta try to string these things along, and they gotta try to get from point A to point B without a lot of stepping stones along the way. They're trying to take big steps here,
right?
And just milking this feud as long as they possibly can is a way to do that. So I fully expect this to continue. We'll see what happens next week in the actual tag match. Mm-hmm. If there's some sort of interference, whether it's Sami Zayn, Solo Sikoa, or Butch, Rich Holland, whoever ends up causing this match to turn into a brawl, you can expect it to likely continue and see a little bit more of it. Do you think there's any way that they lose the belts, though?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Definitely no way that they lose the belts. But, something that would have got me or made me more interested in, the Brawling Brutes coming back is if it was Drew McIntyre that probably, attacked Solo or something like that, That's the only kind of turning point that got me. Why team up Sheamus and Drew to go against the Usos?
Yeah.
That's just a whole left turn to me, I guess you could say. So, yeah, I'm kind of confused about it all.
Well, likely going to get some explanation as the weeks come. Up next, Damage Control comes out. They're going on a little bit of a rant, talking about they don't want to be in Buffalo, this and that, talking about Michael Cole. And they're also mentioning the SmackDown Women's Division, Becky Lynch, all that good stuff. They're not, basically, nobody's off limits here. And Liv Morgan comes out, wastes no time and attacking all three of them, but she starts getting, starts getting jumped a little bit. And then who comes out to help her? Tegan Nox. It's good to see Tegan Nox. Haven't seen her in a while. I had no idea she was coming back. The fact that she did make a little return here, I enjoyed it. I'm sure there was a pop. The fact that Dakota Kai was in the ring whenever she came out, that was good right there. That was some good stuff. That some mic work is going to be coming in the coming weeks, where some references are going to be made back to War Games and the video that we watched before.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Just kind of
appreciate that.
Yeah, just to kind of catch you up a little bit on her relationship with Dakota Kai, and we're going to hear about that. And it does make this a little bit interesting. And I had no idea she was coming back to the WWE, let alone SmackDown, who does need an injection of women talent. We saw Lacey Evans too. I don't even know about her, man. I just don't know. what are we doing here? You know, are we about to go through a weekly boot camp, seeing videos going on now, kind of similar to like her stories of her childhood a long time ago? Like, are we going down that path again? That's kind of what I'm feeling, but I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens with Lacey. I do know that she is on the SmackDown women's roster, so we'll see how she's utilized. But Tegan Nox comes out. The numbers disadvantage, I guess I should say, against Damage Control still actually comes into effect until the Ultimate Equalizer, which is a kendo stick, comes in, which is brought in there by Liv Morgan. She swings for the fences and makes contact a few times. She's not shy about bringing weapons out there and getting things extreme. We know that about Liv. And, Damage Control walks away. We're going to see more about this, or more of this, in the coming weeks.
Well, out of all this, man, I can definitely say that hearing Liv's music, definitely.
Her graphics are trippy, man. If you're watching I don't know if it's just what we see at home or if it's like that, in the arena, but just the LED screen, like all those lights and stuff. That's wild, man.
Like I said, whenever I heard her music pop up, I was just kind of like, it took me a second. It was like, until the Watch Me, sound and everything like that. I was like, dang, I haven't heard that in a while, I guess you could say, And it kind of felt good to see her like running down there and stuff, but she definitely did give some good whacks with that kendo stick, man. And it looked, they just looked perfect, the way the stick broke and everything like that, the way she was just holding it. So yeah, definitely good little return for her. Tegan Nox, definitely somebody new to me. I do like I said, that video that you showed me kind of gave me like the accent that she got and everything like that. So definitely gives a little personality to her, but I can't really say anything about her. She kind of reminds me of Lita from back in the day, Hardy Boys type, long or baggy pants type stuff. So that's what kind of brought to my mind whenever I seen it. And it's kind of crazy because I'm actually watching like the Raw and SmackDown from like 2000. I've been telling you this stuff. So,
yeah.
Like I've been seeing the Hardy Boys going against the Dudley Boys a lot, and a lot of tables, and
a lot of tables,
a lot of
chair shots to the head, probably.
Yeah, definitely chairs. I guess you could say trash cans and everything like that. Also, the Raven versus Jeff Hardy, one of the craziest hardcore matches I've seen. So, yeah.
So your library is being updated in the old.
Oh, yeah, in the memory bank, I guess you could say, yeah. So it's starting to come back. It's kind of cool to actually be able to take it all in rather than being a kid and just kind of seeing these people just get beat up all the time, So, yeah, it's kind of crazy, but yeah.
So your wrestling, memory bank library is being updated, week in, week out, and you got so many books up there now. It's almost like Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Man, I can probably...
You can hop on the ladder and, slide down the
right
thing.
now with some of the stuff that I've seen. It's pretty crazy, and then I'm pretty sure if I told you the story, you'd probably remember it like it's just like yesterday, I guess you could say, So, yeah, Tegan Nox, I guess you could say. Give her a round of applause. The Jeff Hardy, Hardy attire, I guess you could say, vibe. Yeah, that's what she brings to me.
Hell, she's even got the hair, purple hair with that gold streak. That looks good. I will say that. But up next is the main event. Like I said, they gave these guys a lot of time, so clearly John and I can't do it justice. If you miss this match, you're going to have to go watch it. If you did watch it, then you know what we're talking about. You know that this match definitely delivered. The one thing I will say, Legado del Fantasma, their theme music, dude, is good. It really is. I love the bass, love the actual beat to it that goes with it. Man, that's some good stuff there. Had to give credit where it's due. Another spot in this match, though, man, the suicide dive. This is what I was talking to you about before we recorded. The spot that was just absolutely crazy. Did you see it where Santos Escobar, he got major speed, went off the ropes?
Oh, yeah.
Did a suicide dive, push Ricochet, who
that looked like it hurt.
Is lucky that he turned, number one. But yes, Santos Escobar hit his face on the announce table. It was clear as day, and he was so stunned that he wanted to hold his face, but he had to just lean it on there just to try to sell it. But man, I can only imagine.
Dude, even his stuns whenever he does, take the bump and everything like that, he sells those things, the way his eyes go all big shot and stuff like that.
Did you see Sean McVay take the shoulder pad to the face on the sideline of the Rams
yeah.
game. What would you rather have? That, an NFL player in full gear, you not expecting it, boom, right in the face, or suicide dive, you go a little bit too far, hit your face on the commentary table? Which one?
I think I'd rather take the unexpected one just because.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Heck no.
This is a double lose.
That's like self-inflicting pain right there whenever you're jumping through those ropes. You never know if you're going to get caught up in your shoes, face first right into the apron or something. That's my thought whenever I see somebody flying.
That's some superhuman type stuff.
Hey,
Superhuman.
hardcore.
You know what I'm talking about. This for all my juggalos and juggalettes. All right. That's a superhuman I'm talking about. All right.
Oh, man.
But anyways, continuing on here. Yeah, suicide dive. Brilliant. That was a good spot here. This match did get a lot of time, like I mentioned. Ricochet wins it with a beautiful 630. Isn't that right? Mm-hmm. Okay, just want to make sure I got that number right. He landed it. Santos Escobar takes the pin. The rest of Legado del Fantasma got ejected, including Zelina Vega. So it did end up being, clean one-on-one. That's how we ended up taking the pin. Ricochet gets the win, man. I think he's a worthy winner. Shout out to USA for, winning the World Cup, SmackDown World Cup here. Ricochet holding it down. And then obviously Gunther comes out because that is what you earn, is a shot at him. And that just, proves to Gunther's excellence that he can literally have a backstage program impromptu match with someone and then literally 20 minutes later go get face-to-face with somebody else and, basically set up and tease his future opponent who's going to be fighting. Is it next week? Or I don't know when it is. I didn't catch that, when the actual Intercontinental Championship match is.
Oh, yeah, I didn't catch that either. But if it is next week, man.
Kurt Angle is going to be on SmackDown next week, Pittsburgh.
Birthday celebration right there. That is for sure. But this match, man, it was kind of crazy to me. I did not expect Santos Escobar, his style in the ring, I guess you could say. I didn't think he was really like more of a flyer type guy, I guess you could say. I thought it was more of like powerhouse type thing. But yeah, there was a lot of moves in this match that kind of blew my mind, I guess you could say. Like whenever Hurricane Rana off the barricade.
The barricade, yes. Over there by the announce table.
Yeah, that was another rough one right there. I thought Ricochet was going to be the one that was going to take something off that, but
it ended up being Santos.
Yeah, I was like, gosh, dang. But dude that was recording that, freaking great view right there.
Great footage.
I'm pretty sure they all did right there. But man, I guarantee he's going to be rewatching that plenty of times.
Posting that to his Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I can't, man. Just Ricochet winning. Like we've seen this already. We've been through it. Ricochet, he put on an awesome match, but I just don't think that he's going to be able to pull off this win.
You know why he won this match? Because Samantha Irvin didn't go backstage in Gorilla and say, remember who you are, okay? Remember exactly who you are. That's why he didn't lose. And that is why Emma lost. Maybe not exactly, but either way.
Even though that, man, it just looks like he looks over there so many times just to get that little confidence boost,
she'll make that like, come on.
I mean, we don't get to see it, but I guarantee something's going on over there because he looks over there way too many times. I mean, one thing that does bug me about him is like whenever he's getting on top of the top rope and he takes like so much time to like execute the move, and then somebody, or Santos, I guess you could say, comes in already and knocks him off or something like that. Just like, dude, get up there, do your little, what would you say?
What do you mean?
630. What else he does?
630. He'll do freaking.
What's the freaking star?
Shooting star press.
Yeah, that thing. Just get up there, do it real quick, and get out the way.
Do a freaking swanton if you got to, man.
Kevin Owens do that thing all day, but yeah, man. I mean, just to have Ricochet winning this, man, I don't think he's gonna be able to freaking get past that next level again, I guess you could say.
All right, well, I guess that does do it for us here. That does cover this edition of SmackDown here on the SmackDown Review. We do thank you guys so much, obviously, for tuning in. We can't thank you guys enough. It obviously means a lot to me and John that you guys tune in every week to listen to us break down SmackDown. We do look at this WWE podcast here like a bit of a family, like a little bit of a wrestling community here. Not the IWC, not the internet wrestling community. They get a bad rep, and I don't include myself in that. But I am, I'm a wrestling fan, and I enjoy talking about it on a weekly basis here into a microphone. It's an enjoyable thing to do, obviously. If it wasn't, we wouldn't still do it, but clearly we do, so it's fun, and I'm going to keep doing it. So, we are rolling into another year almost, dude. We got 3 more here in 2022, I believe, creeping up on year 1 year here on the WWE podcast team. I know that's a good milestone for you. I remember whenever it was my first year. It's not I remember my first beer. I remember my first year here on the WWE podcast, and, it didn't mean a lot.
Take it one at a time.
Yeah, but, I'm looking forward to many, many more episodes to come and, many, many more SmackDowns to review. But the floor is yours, man. Any shout-outs, any plugs, anything like that?
Well, just kind of close out the show. Like I said, I was doing a good amount of briefing around and stuff like that, searching while I've been at the house sick and stuff. So I just want to add in, I do think Triple H adding William Regal, sorry, his freaking name is always a tongue twister to me, back to the WWE roster.
So is that official?
It's official. And I think it's going to be freaking awesome. And it's kind of crazy that he had to miss the War Games part of it and everything like that. So, bummer, I guess you could say. But Randy Orton update. He went through his fusion back surgery pretty good and everything like that. His pops, Cowboy
Bob Orton.
Yeah, he was saying that, for us to expect him back sooner than we can think, I guess you could say. So, from coming from a parent, I guess you could say, we as WWE fans have a good expectation to look forward to, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then, I guess just the shout out to the Usos, man. They've made it past 500-day plus.
Usos!
Being the championship holder. So
how long have you been down?
Day 1.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh,
go ahead, yeah, continue.
Last year,
huh? Okay. Down since last year.
Oh, man.
I got you.
It's cool to see. Being able to, stay with it, I guess you say, see somebody or a group, I guess you could say, going over a certain amount of days and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Breaking records, I guess you could say. And I saw another one, man. Alexa Bliss being without a title since, 1,500 days or something like that. And you kind of think
Good
about
God.
That's a long time, So, for her to kind of be in the position that she is now, I know that's a raw side, but dang. But yeah, we definitely get to see something. You're definitely throwing me off over there.
Sorry.
Motions.
It's the end of the show. We're getting through this.
We're closing it out. And we're just wrapping it up for y'all. Yeah. But yeah, I saw that, man, and it's kind of crazy to think just superstar can go so many days. I guess you could say, and then for I was saying, for her to be kind of maybe getting to that point to where she's going to turn.
Yeah, you saw her facial expressions at War Games. She was the women's version of Solo Sikoa at the end. They're just
maybe we're going to get something out of that, So, like I said, just been looking into a little bit of stuff, I guess you could say, and kind of going with my own ideas and thoughts here. So, that's what it is.
Maybe she wins the Rumble, earns that championship opportunity. It's definitely possible. Who knows?
There's a lot of ways, I guess you could say, this can go. But
is Kevin Owens injured?
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
He has a leg injury after, or I guess he was working through it.
At War Games? Mm-hmm. Man, because he was my way too early pick.
Like you said, maybe he has a broken hand, so.
Hey, banged up, man. It's a brutal lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You know what you sign up for. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Shout out to you. Hopefully you get to feeling better. I know that this was a rough week for you. You were battling through a bunch of sickness and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you were able to get through it and, come represent for the Blue Brand Brawlers here on the SmackDown episode.
I had to just run it by you and everything like that, make sure. But
we're at a good social distancing, distance here in Funky Town. The separation of the microphones are definitely, a good 6 feet, maybe not that long, but who cares? We're living in a different era, and we're healthy young men. Okay, we have good immune systems. Obviously, you're dealing with a sickness right now, so maybe that's not what I should say right now. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to the SmackDown review. We will be back next week. Don't forget to tune into all the other shows that are happening this week. I know that Matt dropped one today covering the 2001 Invasion WWE Retro. If you have not listen to that, I can tell you right now, that was a damn good good time in WWE. I haven't listened to that episode yet, personally, but I can tell you right now, is it Anthony DeMarco who does that? Is that Matt? I believe it's Anthony DeMarco. So, yeah, I can already tell you, I've listened to a lot of his episodes over the years, and he's done a damn good job. He's from the, late Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression era, same as me. So he kind of, appreciates those glory years the same way. So definitely go check that out, as well as the weekend review, any of the mailbag stuff you haven't already listened to. Send in your contributions to the mailbag as well. There's a lot of ways that you can contribute here at the WWE Podcast as well. Subscribing on Patreon if you, like I said, prefer ad-free. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Have a damn good weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.